We continue our knowledge sharing mission through a series of interviews with marketing leaders from all over the world and are thrilled to have Suvish with us today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the CMO Chat. My name is Suvish Viswanathan, and I am the head of marketing for our UK and Europe business at Zoho.
Thank you for joining us today, Suvish. Great to have you. Why don't you start by telling us a bit about yourself and your role at Zoho?
All right. I am leading the marketing team here at Zoho in Europe. We have been doing now this regional marketing for about 8-9 years now. So been part of this project since then. We have a quite, as the continent is diverse with all these different countries, languages, our teams are also quite spread out in UK, in Germany, France, Spain. And at Zoho, we are a B2B application vendor, SaaS application vendor. So there's a lot of complexity around that to talk the right products and the right story and things like that. So yes, that keeps me busy.
Sounds great. And can you tell us, Suvish, what your main marketing focus at Zoho is at the moment?
Yeah, so we are since my area of focus is in European region. I would say there are 2-3 main focus areas that's been there now for a couple of years and will continue for the next year as well. The first one is, I think the first and the most important one is how do we bring value to our businesses, to our business and customers in the region, right? So it's a very simple statement, but a highly loaded statement because of the diversity that this region presents. And to bring all the products and the offerings that Zoho has in front of the customers and the market is our main primary focus area. Second, I would say is the whole marketing operations, right? So we have several marketing and sales tools, whether it is CRM or automation and things like that. But to bring them all together so that sales and marketing and the customer teams, they have a single sort of visibility across the journey is a continuous activity, right? Because as the business changes, there's always new ask from the tools, and there are new tools in the market. How do we bring all of them together and have that system thinking instead of thinking in silos? And then the third one, it's more recent, I would say, in the last couple of years, as we all probably are having this as a focus area as well, is incorporating AI. Now, this has been, of course, the first 2 years has been more on experiment phase. We try this, try that, see how it helps in marketing, moving the things forward, needle forward. But now it has reached a stage, at least within marketing, where you could really run projects with the help of AI, right? So this is an ongoing focus area again. How do we amplify while augmenting various skills that we have within the team, and also what AI could bring on the table? So I would say these are 2-3 main focus areas for us in the region.
And Suvish, from your experience, how would you define success in marketing?
Okay, so that's it's obviously it depends upon several factors, but at least what we look internally is if a project or a plan, it doesn't move the revenue or the customer value, right? Then it's just an activity. In a more lighter way, I would say, it's successful when the finance team see it in the P&L, right? So, but I think on a serious note, there are several metrics to define the success depending upon which activity you're looking at. But for us, at least, it's about bringing the value to the market, right? Value to the customers, to the internal stakeholders, and it's really how you can navigate those complex areas, especially in a larger organization. It's a lot more complex. Zoho is quite a large organization when it comes to the presence and the different teams in place, etc. So there are, I think, multiple areas of defining success.
Makes sense, Suvish. And what would you instead say is the biggest challenge marketers currently face today?
I think there are multiple. I think it also depends upon different cultures within an organization, right? So some of the organizations are quite performance-driven culture, right? So then there the challenge for a marketeer would be, how do I show the value, right? So because it's everything is then looked from a spreadsheet perspective, right? Luckily for us at Zoho, we have more room for creativity and things like that. So that's, I would say, one challenge where, and I hear this quite often in various meetings, meetups, and other external events, right? So how do I show value to my business? Second would be, marketeers are expected to be a creative bunch, right? To sort of produce materials and collaterals that shows the brand in the best way. So they have to be an artist. At the same time, they also have to be a CFO. So how do you bring that the left and right side of the brain to sort of work in that perfect symphony, so that you bring the value to the business, right? So that's the second part. I think the more recent ones that have, I think, popped up is like AI has now. It is both challenge and opportunity. Challenge because we've sort of heard this content is king for a very long time, where marketing has to develop content that's useful and things like that. Now with AI, that has completely gone to multiple stages of sort of development, right? So a team that could initially, I think early years, they could develop maybe one or two white paper in a quarter, can now suddenly develop 20 of those white papers, right, with the help of AI. But then the challenge is everyone is developing same kind of white paper, right? So then how do you challenge the sameness that the AI is bringing onto the table and yet be unique? Because the challenge also is your attention span has gone down, right? So the buyer's attention span has considerably reduced over the years or decades. So then you need to grab the attention with original piece of advice or content that would ultimately, bring them to the buyer's cycle or whatever the role of that campaign was, right? So these are, I think, I would say 3-4 challenges that I see us grappling with, but it's also an opportunity.
That makes total sense. Not only in marketing, but I'm seeing it as well with AI in general, but specifically, but also, some departments such as marketing, where the demand is where outreach is always more personalized and tailored to your target audience. So it is, having the challenge of, yes, using AI to get more volume, but trying to keep that creativity and uniqueness with your communication to really stand out from the competition is definitely very, very challenging. And it will be interesting to see how we can actually find the balance with that as well. I see it in my role every day as well. Now
I see.
Yep, go ahead.
I'm just gonna add that, right? And these are the challenges you would see the marketing leaders. They talk about it. We all talk about it, mostly off the record, because these are not, they don't sound fancy. So you don't see them at the events, but we all talk about it, right? So the operational challenges, how do you get most out of it? The tools that we have, And in most cases, marketing teams are often the first ones in a company to try new tools, and then you have so many tools in place. How do you
Yeah,
bring them all together, right? So very operational challenge.
definitely. Now I'd like to ask you a question around events, Suvish. I mean, you know better than I do that events is, for many organizations, quite a big chunk of the marketing strategy is also done via events. So
Yeah.
what I'd like to ask you is, what's the most successful event or engagement piece that you've hosted, and why would you say so?
Okay. As a company, we at Zoho, we host a lot of events. We not just host, we also participate at trade shows and other industry events, so to speak. And here in Europe as well, there are 2-3 different kinds of events we do. Apart from the general trade shows where you have booths and things like that, right? We do some grassroots events where we go to really small cities within a country, not really small, but then let's say tier 2 cities, right? And host meetups. Now, those are events which are really enriching and engaging, because the customers are really grateful because we have come to their city instead of flying them to some mega city within Europe, right? And we could discuss for 3-4 hours a particular topic, listen to their challenges. Some of it we may be able to solve during the event itself. Others we sort of take it down and then sort of reach back to them later, right? So those meetups are quite engaging, and we do, I think, once in a quarter across European cities and across the world as well from our central community team. The second part to that is more general, more sort of deeper workshops, right? So because the idea is, when your customer can see and experience the product, then they would really value, because oftentimes our customers, any customer for that matter, would use only a fraction of the product that it has to offer, and they often don't see the other side of the product where they could churn a lot of value, and these events help us to bring that value. Very recently in Europe, we concluded our user conference series. It's called Zoholics. It happens around the world. In Europe, we did it in the month of September and October across 5 countries. So UK, Germany, France, Spain, and Netherlands. So it's a big roadshow, in the like a musical tour kind of thing, where we all travel across these countries, and we had close to 3,000 odd businesses, customers primarily, coming to the main cities wherever this event was held, and that's again been one of the most, I think, successful events, I would say, for this year, because you get to hear from so many customers how they are using the product, their challenges, and our leadership team, our product teams, they fly from all over the world to just help the customers, right? So that's been a very good experience. It's a busy time of the year, but totally worth the efforts.
What career advice would you give to anyone starting in the marketing industry?
I think it's the same old advice, but then one needs to really look into this. And then, we say that marketeers, we don't just sell products, right? So we don't just sell stories, but then we sort of have to craft the stories that could decode customer values, turn data into decisions. And I think when you just look at storytelling, data analytics, right, and how do you make sense of the data? These are two, three very deep topics, which if people can spend their time and master these skills, I would say the rest will follow, right? So don't just sell products, craft the stories, get to know your customers really well, and then look into the data so you understand how to make sense out of all the data that you have.
Definitely, definitely. And instead, what would you say is the biggest opportunity for marketing, for CMOs or marketing directors, or marketing professionals today?
I think one superpower I would say we as marketeers have is this tidal wave of data that we have in our organization. It's more than what we anticipate, right? Because it's in different teams, different functions. Then how do you turn this wave into something like Whisper, that we can time it perfectly, I would say, not or near perfection, to sort of each customer, right? So to break it down is, how do we personalize this, right? So then the customers would see that, hey, this particular campaign is meant for them, right? So if you are releasing a campaign around, I don't know, a new feature or something, because you have all the data that you have, how do you craft this campaign for this particular cohort of the customer, right? And there you can actually use AI, right? So you can use AI's power to not just on the creativity side, because you can prompt and then do a lot of amazing stuff, crunch the data that is needed, and use this superpower, but use it with sufficient guardrails. I think that's very important. And since we are in Europe, this is all the more important, right? So when I say guardrails, it's the privacy that the customers have consented to, the security of your customers' data, and the overall messaging itself, to keep it right, right? So those guardrails are extremely important in marketing parlance, right? So we have this opportunity, but we also have to make sure there are guardrails.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely agree, Suvish. My next question is, so looking back, since we're coming to the close of 2025 and looking back at 2025, how would you describe your journey as a marketing leader?
I think this year has been an year of learning, and I think I'm thankful for that, because so many new things have come in the industry, and we have access to it. Whether it is how do you bring these tools together with various workflows and things like that, or using AI to augment and amplify our efforts. I mean, that itself has been such a massive learning, to just realize what is possible, right? So I would say this year has been a year of learning and experimentation, and I hope it continues to be like that, because more you learn, it gets better.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing, Suvish. And also, for 2026 instead, what do you think is your number one priority for 2026 on your list as of now?
I think I would say the focus areas sort of remain same. So what I covered in the initial part of our discussion, right? So it is to, business, at least in this region, it's a tough economic period. We all know that in Europe, most of the countries are in stagnant to a very little growth phase. So then it's also an opportunity, especially for brands who could offer value, value for, or rather, value performance ratio. If a brand can sort of provide that, then that's a good opportunity. So then as a marketer, the focus area would be to showcase that value to your customers and to the business, right? So so it goes back to what I said before, and that is going to be the focus area for 26 as well.
Sounds great. My last question for you, Suvish, is how would you describe the role of head of marketing, so your role, in one word, and why?
I think I would like to use the word navigator. And I think it's more recent realization that you are constantly trying to navigate opportunities and challenges, right? And at the same time, so if I have to use another word, so navigator and an orchestrator, right? So you have opportunities in multiple areas, whether it is AI, whether it is content, campaigns, and challenging economic conditions, your compliances. As a marketer, you are touching multiple sort of moving areas, right? So as a leader, you would like to find the right path. At the same time, also connect multiple business stakeholders. I often present this small little graph in our annual meets, where you'd see that a marketer has like a sub-function that is attached to every business, right? So whether if it's like a customer marketer, they are attached to your customer team. Your demand gen is attached to your sales team. Your brand is attached to your HR team and also to the brand marketing team, right? So if you see that your marketing organization is connected with all these different functions that runs your business, right? So then it's navigation, right? So you're navigating through these waters and bring what is the best for the business and bring the stakeholders together.